Hi everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra here at C2 Tactical with the Baron of Bannisters, Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection. And I don't know if you saw this, but recently Active Self-Protection and Firearms Legal Protection renewed our relationship for a couple more years. And in that, I have become kind of a consulting expert for Firearms Legal for cases where they need. And I want to ask Terry about what an expert witness does. There's a little difference, we'll talk about the stuff, but why you would hire one, what their purpose is, and how they help you. Firearms Legal Protection just started a 100% free monthly newsletter to bring quality, accurate information about legal self-defense to good, sane, sober, moral, prudent people like you. Go sign up for free, no-hassle help for your self-defense at the link in the description, and thank them for sponsoring today's lesson. So, okay, Terry, so we've said that I'm now kind of a consulting expert, which is a little different than an expert witness.
Let me stop you. First of all, I want to say we've been working together for a number of years.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next two and beyond.
Yeah, me too.
Let me say this again, you can edit it. I'm looking out for the next several years and beyond. And
I'm looking forward to it too. I think it's been a great relationship, and
it has.
I'm grateful for it. And so tell me, you're an attorney who's helped thousands of people with self-defense cases and other stuff as well. How does an expert witness work in court in a self-defense case?
You know, the good thing about an expert witness, and a lot of people don't understand this, is expert witnesses are the only ones that get to give an opinion.
That's neat. Let's unpack that for a minute. So
Sure.
Other witnesses called to the stand, they're not allowed to give an opinion?
No.
What are they allowed to say?
Well, you can ask them questions. What did you see? In some cases, what did you hear? Tell me what you were doing at the time. You don't get to go to the stand as a non-expert and say, well, I think John did it. I think that because this was raining, and because it was raining this day, and because the roads were wet, I believe John did X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You can't do that. Expert witnesses are the only ones that get to go into court, and based upon their training, their years of experience and other things, they get to come in and they get to say, well, based upon my training and years of experience, I believe that Terry did the right thing in this situation. And
So
that's powerful.
This is a very powerful thing in court. So now you and I have done some expert work together.
Yes.
A little bit. I've also done some others on the side. You guys know that. I'm doing a little expert witness work now. And being able as an expert witness to say to a finder of fact, in my expert opinion. Now, how does somebody become an expert witness?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The quickest way is that a court certifies you to become an expert witness. So if you've been involved in a court case and you've testified as an expert witness, other jurisdictions generally look upon that favorably, that you've been vetted. Now, sometimes expert witnesses it can be done based upon your years of experience, some of the work that you've done, your CV, okay?
That's your curriculum vitae. That's
Yes.
your body of work that you have produced.
Right, which is like anything you've written, any educational things that you've done, any classes that you've taken. So you look at that and they say, okay, now I want to bring on John as an expert. So what happens is one side will say, okay, I'd like to call John Correa to the stand. Okay. And generally, the interesting thing that goes on with this is the other side generally just says, hey, I want to step where I'm going to agree that he's got all of these credentials, and let's just skip this and let's just move forward. It never happens that way, because what happens is the person that's calling you wants to bring all of this up. So they want the jury to hear all of these great credentials that, let's say in this case, John Correa has. You know, he's done this, he's on YouTube, he is a former pastor.
Here's this qualification. Here's he's a Masada U Grip Deadly Force instructor. He's a Force Science Institute graduate. He's got expertise in this area, 1,100 hours in this, and here's that. They want the jury to hear.
Absolutely.
This person is a true expert. Now, I will say this, that an expert is usually an expert in a very narrow field.
Correct. And that's the thing. You know, you can't come to the stand and be an expert in automobile accidents.
Right.
Because you don't have the background. However, now your expertise is in use of force,
Yeah,
correct?
use of force. Also some in the firearms side. So I've been hired in some cases as a firearms expert, that says, I understand defensive handguns very, very well. In our case together in a use of force. Listen, I know when it's
Right.
cool to use force and when it's not cool to use force.
Right.
And so here's all the credentials of that. And you want the jury to hear that.
You do, because they're like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. And you'll see the jury, they'll kind of sit up and they'll look as you start to testify. And that big question comes along. So, in your opinion,
Right.
and that's the only time that opinions are allowed to come in a trial.
Now, I will say what I've seen generally is a judge. Remember, a judge is just the umpire, right? The judge is just umpiring. Is everybody playing according to the rules?
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
We'll talk about that one in another video.
We will. But when you say, well, do you think he was justified in his actions that day? A lot of times the other attorneys say, that's the jury's job to find, not yours. Now, you can say, though, hey, in your expert opinion, if somebody acted in this manner, would you consider that reasonable?
Correct.
And now that's a different question. And now you've been admitted. Now, once the court has said, no, we accept this person as an expert witness,
Yes.
then no, that opinion is valid and therefore can help the jury in their determination.
Correct. Now, some of the interesting things is you have the dueling experts. Now, let me tell you, and a lot of people don't realize this, normally in a trial you have what's called sequestration, which basically means no one can go in who's going to be a witness or who's going to testify during that trial. Expert witnesses can stay in the courtroom. So I can ask you, okay, well, you heard this police officer come up and say A, B, and C. What did you think of that? And you can respond, well, this officer missed this, or B is a very good point. However, he didn't look into, B1,
Right.
B2, B3. So it's a very powerful position as an expert witness.
So here's the thing. I think that if you are ever in a self-defense incident and it makes it all the way to court, which of course we want to avoid, right? We want to stay out of this at all cases. But I've had several instances now where pre-trial depositions happen, and those are the places where we get things organized that the other side goes, man, we're going to have a hard time with this. And starts throwing things out and getting rid of arguments, and then their argument starts to fall apart, and so they withdraw charges or
Reduce them or something like that.
get
Yes.
you a plea bargain that works well. So how do you go about then choosing a good expert witness? Because to me, it seems like you need to not only be good with the information, but you need to be an excellent communicator and good with people.
Well, those are great qualities to have. The first thing you want to do is find someone that's going to look at this who's got credibility, like yourself, and say, I believe this person acted reasonably. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, you can just pay somebody to do that. Well, that question's always going to come up.
It's always going to come up, straight up.
You're being paid by, Mr. Smith, correct? And it's going to be like, yes, I am. And the other side's going to come back and say, now, does this affect your view of the case? And obviously the answer is going to be no, right?
Right, you got to say no.
It is, it is what it is. But the interesting thing is, though, that's hard to find because you got a lot of people that have a lot of credentials, but they can't communicate to a jury.
Right. It's like having a college professor. You ever go to a college class that the professor is an expert in the topic and they're a terrible teacher?
Yes.
And you go,
Yes.
oh gosh, why are you teaching? You need to be able to teach. And really, as an expert witness, your job is to teach the jury what the facts are and how to interpret those facts, because it's information they won't have.
Well, yes, agree. And it's the big thing is you get to say, or the attorney at the end gets to say, you heard John Correa. John Correa, as you remember, has this credential, and this credential, and in his expert opinion.
Right. And so, listen, I'm not just talking about me. I mean, listen, if you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, now you know, if you didn't hear the announcement before, that I'm a consulting expert for your defense team. Doesn't necessarily mean that I will end up in court. There's a lot of stuff to go with that. But I will absolutely be on the team that your attorney that's hired will consult with and go, this is bad what the district attorney's doing, or this is wrong. Now, I've said this many times, the expert witness work that I do, I've had a couple of attorneys call me, and I've said, understand, if you hire me, I work not for you, I work for the finder of fact. And I work for the finder of fact to tell them the truth and to give them honest testimony. Right. And to tell them what the truth of the matter is, not to state your opinion or to build a theory of a case. That's your job as the attorney. Right. I will simply tell you what the facts are and how those line up with reality.
And let me tell you, let me cut you off real quick there. There have been times where we'll take an expert opinion and choose not to use it.
I mean, there you go.
Because it's contrary to what we believe happened. And you say, well, isn't that the truth? Isn't court the place to find out truth? No, court is not the place to find out the truth. Court is the place to basically go and determine, do the facts line up, and do you believe one side or the other?
Well, and listen, just because you say, wait a minute, this doesn't help my case any, the defense especially is not required to disclose anything that's contrary to their case. The prosecution is, because again, all of the work goes towards the defense and all of the ties go to the runner. In theory.
In theory, but again, it just depends. So if you do a report and you go into, let's say the person's locked up, and you go into jail and you author a report, you interview them, then the prosecution knows and they can pretty much say, hey, what's going on with this?
Right.
But if they don't have any knowledge, and again, this is nothing that's underhanded, it's basically, if they don't have knowledge of it, then it's work product and we don't have to turn it over.
Right, yeah, that work product stuff is an interesting bit. So I just wanted you to know what an expert witness does. A couple of interesting bits here. Well, thank you, I appreciate that. And actually it's quite gratifying, I'm gonna be honest with you, to be recognized by court as, this person is an expert. And to be a nationally recognized subject matter expert is, it's cool, it validates all the work I've done.
And we are glad that you are with us and with our members, any of our members that have the premium product.
Right.
This comes along with it. It's just part of that package.
So I will disclose to you and tell you what the truth of the matter is, just as what goes on there right now. Right this minute. Now this is 2021 in August. If your attorney hires me, just regular go. Hey John, I need you as an expert witness. It's $500 an hour for every hour that I work for you while I'm at home. When I am not at home, it is $4,000 a day, an 8-hour workday, plus reasonable expenses for every day that I'm not at home. So it's a full workday plus flights, hotels, food, per diem, those kinds of things. I ain't eating at like Ruth's Chris or nothing, but you get my point.
And you're not eating at White Castles either.
I'm also not eating at White Castle, right? So those are the kinds of things that those can add up very quickly in a court case, because there's a lot of reading to do, depositions to make, those kinds of things, which is one of the reasons that I say, hey, if you're an FLP member, I think that's highly valuable. Of course, it's a risk, right? Because you hopefully will never get in the kind of case where you're going to have this problem. But when you need it, it gets crazy expensive in a hurry. Now, somebody might go, well, John, why does it cost that much? Because I got to take time away from my regular job, from bringing you education, from making videos for the main channel, from running my business in order to help somebody. And somebody got to pay for that time. Somebody's got to make sure my employees get paid, my staff has what they do, my wife eats, and kids and those things. So here's my last bit. It's not an ad for FLP. But I will say this, I think Firearms Legal Protection members, I love the premium plan. $20 a month for gracious sakes, and you don't gotta worry about it anymore. Then I show up, and when you, with FLP, pick your attorney in your jurisdiction that you believe is going to make a good case, that's been vetted, we know that they're good at what they do, then I'm just, hey man, I'm here to help you in any way that you need me. You need me to read some stuff, now we get to court, there's some other stuff that goes on there, but I'm in on that. So. Expert witnesses, very helpful, can actually give opinions, which is kind of cool, and have a narrow area of expertise, work for the jury, and very valuable. So, hey, Terry, thanks for giving us some info today.
John, thanks for being part of our team. We appreciate you, and our members appreciate you as well. Thank you.